Do you want to know how good is the knight in number 10? Then I'll tell you. Obviously, this is the best character in the entire game. Duh. Obviously, that was meant as a joke. Hello and welcome to another JMP video. I'm your host JonNario, and today I'll be telling you how good is the knight in number 10. So a couple of little things that I'm just going to mention. Yes, obviously I don't have the class gem because I will be explaining the charge ability before I start talking about Spirit Squire. So that's the reason I do have the charge ability instead of Spirit Squire. But I'll swap back into Spirit Squire once I start talking about the Spirit Squire in general. Obviously this is going to be my main character, so I will try to be as unbiased as possible. But at the end of the day, this is my own personal opinion on what do I think of the character in number 10. Despite this being my main character, I will probably be talking this character for a long period of time, because obviously this is one of those characters that I feel is kind of underrated. I even underrated this character, considering that I used to call this character around 6 or 7 best overall character in the entire game. But even after using this character after the Delves update, I can easily say that this is among the top 5 best overall characters in the entire game for u10 grinding. Also, a couple of little things. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you like this type of content, and let me know which is the character that you would like to see in the next episode. I will try to choose more the people that are in the Discord server, so make sure to join into the Discord server. Let me know which is the character that you would like to see, and I will just choose the character that they would like to see the most. Also, one little thing is going to be a little bit of a milestone that I managed to get, which is going to be 780 total mastery. I managed to get myself this total mastery on my last live stream. If you want to go ahead, go into my Twitch channel and just make sure to go into the clips. I actually have it saved up right there. And a little bit of a little announcement that I just wanted to mention is going to be that this Wednesday it is going to be my birthday. I'll be turning 26 years old, for those who are just curious. I probably will be doing a live stream very early in the morning, but don't quote me on it because my internet has just been so horrible lately that I'm not able to do any kind of live stream. That is the only problem, that I cannot do any type of live stream. I wish I could, but my internet is just betraying me all this time. So yes, my birthday is on the 23rd of September, which is going to be this Wednesday. Anyways, now let's start talking about the knight, my stats on the knight. Now that I think about it, I need to equip the Spirit Squire in order to showcase my actual stats on my knight. Damn it. So here's going to be my stats on my knight, just in case you're wondering. This is with Spirit Squire equipped. I had to equip it because I forgot that I had to showcase the stat. I'm an idiot. But yeah, those are the stats. Equipment that I do have: movement speed, attack speed, all pieces of gear. I can one shot with basic attack, so I don't need critical damage. So I just use attack speed, and I just use movement speed because it's essential with the knight. I do have magifying on all pieces of gear, including the subclass and rank, so that's why I do have a lot of magifying equipment, and I'm using the naval gunfire subclass. I do have the best banner in the entire game for stats, which is going to be this banner that you see right here. This is upgraded torch for u10 Leviathans. There's going to be the animated jug, which is the best ally in the entire game. Martial emblem because it does help me out in one-shotting 3-star bosses and world bosses, and trailblazing emblem because of the extra movement speed. And like I mentioned, this character needs as much movement speed as possible because it doesn't have any movement speed buffs. Base movement speed at 40, worst dodge in the game. And free range electronic crystal, best food in the entire game. Conjure's crystal vial, my own vial of choice. Paradise vampire backcharges are essential with any u10 character in this entire game, and the knight is no exception. It is even more important with the knight because it does grant you a lot of movement speed, and you need as much movement speed as possible with this character. Class gem is going to be very helpful with this character. You can go with or without class gem, and explosive hyperlock is up to you. You can use whichever you want. I use explosive hyperlock because I just used this one to test it out. It didn't help me out as much as I thought it would, but it's still pretty effective. Now let me unequip my class gem so I can just showcase pretty much all of the things that is on the knight. The first thing that I'll just showcase is going to be the charge ability. Instead of just going with basic attack then every single ability in order, I will just start talking about the charge ability first. Charge ability is going to be the second ability that you get on the knight. This is an ability that is going to be replaced by the class gem ability Spirit Squire. This is an ability that a lot of people argue being better than the class gem ability, but considering after using it for so long and after using it with and without charge ability, I will probably say that this character is better with Spirit Squire. It's much more efficient, and it is overall better as a character for u10 type grinding. Despite technically moving a little bit faster, and I say technically because you move a little bit faster, but not by a whole lot. And here's a couple of reasons why. Number one, charge ability, it is going to be a lunging ability. So similar to the Neon Ninja Stasis Blade, it will move a set amount of blocks with a set amount of movement speed. You can move a little bit faster with the charge ability active, but as you probably could tell, with pretty much every every single movement speed buff active, I was moving slightly faster with the charge ability. This is an ability that will do 4.5 times damage multiplier, and it will launch you for around 13 to 14 blocks. This is an ability that can go through enemies if you don't hit them directly. So something along those lines like this. If you hit them like this, you can still kill the enemy and hit the enemy, and you can go through the enemy. However, if you do hit the enemy directly, you are going to stop mid-travel. So pretty much something like this, if you hit the enemy at very close range, you are going to stop mid-travel. So this is going to be a thing that is going to happen with this ability in general. So keep that in mind. This is also an ability that will take quite a bit of energy upon casting. This is very important comparable to the Spirit Squire. And this ability will dish out 4.5 times damage multiplier. If you do hit the enemy directly, it's going to have a small AoE. That small AoE will dish out 4 times damage multiplier. That is potentially the strongest ability that the knight can dish out, 8.5 times damage multiplier. This is among the highest damaging multiplier in the entire game. However, there is obviously comparable to the Spirit Squire. Spirit Squire is just going to be overall better, and I will just explain once I get into Spirit Squire. But I'm just going to say this ability is great, but it's not going to take over Spirit Squire. I didn't mention like my opinion on the character, but you already know my opinion on the character. This is a really good character that is among the top 5 overall characters in the entire game for dungeon grinding. Is extremely consistent, and its best is going to be mid to late game, where it can one shot and where it can just have its momentum to its fullest. Anyways, now let's start talking about the other abilities. Sorry if I'm all over the place, but yeah, it is 6:33 in the morning, so I'm actually just doing this recording very early. So yeah, anyways, now let's start talking about the other abilities, the key abilities that I will say are with this knight, with my own personal build, which is with Clash Gem. Without Clash Gem, the key abilities are going to be basic attack and charge. With the Clash Gem, is going to be basic attack and Spirit Squire. Now let me just explain to you why basic attack is key pretty much everything, and why do I think this is one of the best basic attack in the entire game, probably even the best basic attack if you look at it objectively. Especially in terms of consistency, this is the best basic attack in the entire game. There's no question about that. Most of the other characters, in order to compare to this character, they have to use an ability. This character's basic attack is just out of this world bonkers. So it is 2.5 times damage, 2.125 attacks per second basic attack. So it can hit all enemies around you, including enemies that are behind you. I'm not even kidding. This can hit enemies behind you, like let's just say something like this. Let me just wait until Pyrodeus goes away. But if I just keep attacking behind me, I will be able to hit enemies behind me. That's how good the crowd control of this basic attack is. The only weakness that it does have is a 3-block range. But if you're using this basic attack on a cursed skull, you're pretty much going back and forth, and you're going to hit all enemies rather quickly. This is going to be one of those basic attacks that will kill everything just one shot, and just going to destroy every single cursed skull out there. It is among the top 5 strongest basic attack in the entire game, the top 3 in terms of speed, and it has among the best crowd control in the entire game. So it has everything that you want from a basic attack. So the knight basic is seriously that good. It's super ridiculous. It's extremely effective. Obviously, it's going to be a key ability on the knight. Next up is going to be Smash. Smash is going to be a weaker version of the Revenant Bulwark Bash. It's going to be somewhat of a key ability if you're using this character early portions of the game without Clash Gem. So Smash is going to be a pretty low energy cost, high damage ability that it can hit all enemies in a cone, but it's just going to be a weaker version of the Revenant's Bulwark Bash, because even though it doesn't have any cooldown, it does have a 1-second animation startup, and aside having a 1-second animation startup, it does have an 8 times damage multiplier. It will kill all of your movement speed. It has a cone in front of the knight in terms of like crowd control, and it has a somewhat decent range. So comparable to the Revenant's Bulwark Bash, which is pretty much the closest ability to this, it will hit a cone similar to the Revenant Bulwark Bash. It doesn't have a cooldown, which is better than Revenant's Bulwark Bash 1-second cooldown. It does have a 1-second animation startup, which Revenant has a 0.5-second animation startup, which is twice as fast. And then it will kill your movement speed, which Revenant only lowers your movement speed, and it does 8 times damage versus the Revenant 9.5. So it is pretty much a weaker version of the Revenant's Bulwark Bash. So pretty strong ability, but it is not going to be an ability that you're going to use, and even less that if you have Spirit Squire, which I'll get into that right now. Spirit Squire, probably arguably the best dungeon grinding ability in the entire game. I mentioned it multiple times in both the Neon Ninja video, Vanguardian video. Like, this ability is seriously an over the top ability that is just outstanding. This ability carries the knight up on the top 5 overall best characters in the entire game. The basic attack and the Spirit Squire are pretty much the two abilities that carries these characters, and here's why. So it is going to be, look at all of the things that it can do. This ability, it's just ridiculous. It is an 8 times damage multiplier ability, so it is high. A short animation, which is better, so it means that you can spam this ability rather quickly. No cooldown, so it means that you can actually spam this ability rather quickly. Like, I believe you can spam this ability, you can use this ability, I believe, up to 2 times a second, which is even ridiculous. And then you take into account that it can stun enemies, it goes through enemies, it has a 9 block range, it doesn't lower your movement speed whatsoever upon activation. So it has everything. It has damage, it has crowd control, it has momentum, it has range, it has low energy cost, which I forgot to mention, and it can go through enemies and it can stun. Like, it is just ridiculous. It can do everything that you want from an ability. This ability alone is what makes the Knight one of the better momentum type characters, could possibly even be the best momentum type character in the entire game, because it really is, among all of the characters that can dish out abilities without lowering its movement speed, Spirit Squire, it is the highest damage of multiplier ability by a landslide. Like, the only one that can come closest to this ability is going to be the basic attack on Fate Trickster, which does a 6.1. This does an 8 times damage. This is ridiculous. This ability is just ridiculous. So it pretty much, if you are going against an enemy, you pretty much can just press the button dead, and it will just kill all enemies instantaneously, making this character extremely consistent in terms of its movement speed, being able to keep 100% movement speed buff all the time. So just keep killing all enemies rather quickly, so you can just do something like this. And you can do this even at lower power end, because it does have higher damage multiplier. This ability is over the top. It is super ridiculously overpowered. It is what it is. It is pretty much what makes the Knight the Knight, and why do I think it is better than just using charge ability, because the energy cost is so low that you don't need any energy regeneration. You don't lose any movement speed whatsoever, like comparable to the charge. That the charge, you get stuck and blocked. If you hit the enemy directly, you will get stuck with the enemy. It will cost a lot more energy. It has a set amount of movement speed. Like, this ability, you can just use it whenever you want, and you can just kill enemies as soon as you're within 9 blocks, which is farther block range than you think. It is something along those lines like this. This is pretty much the AoE that the Knight does have, which is ridiculously powerful. Especially on 5-star dungeons, you are definitely going to notice this ability pretty much being ridiculous. And even at lower delves, this ability is just ridiculous. I don't mention delves very often, because this is the u10 series, but considering that even in delves this character can do stuff like this, it is really that effective. This is one of the better momentum type character in the entire game, and I will showcase in this 5-star dungeon what kind of things that you can do with the Knight, with both the basic attack and Spirit Squire. This is why this is an underrated class. A lot of people don't think that this character can do stuff like this, which is just out of this world bonkers, bananas, and ridiculous, because it can just dish out pretty much ridiculous damage against every single thing. Bosses, it can one-shot, because Spirit Squire can one-shot. Regular enemies, it can one-shot with basic attack, having one of the best crowd control abilities in the entire game, being the basic attack. And even still, like, even you can just spam Spirit Squire on Cursed Skull and just kill enemies rather quickly. And look at it, just look at this. This is just ridiculous. I'm able to clear out 5-star dungeon in less than a minute very easily with the Knight, which is not the case with a lot of characters. And yeah, it is all because of this ability alone. This ability alone is what makes the Knight the Knight. Anyways, I ramble a whole lot because I did mention this ability. I hyped it up quite a lot on both the Neon Ninja video, and I hyped it up on the Vanguardian video, being the best dungeon ability in the entire game, and this is why. That is the reason why I think this is the best dungeon grinding ability in the entire game. It does have everything that you want. It really does. Now let's start talking about the last two things about the Knight, which are going to be the ultimate ability, which is the ultimate panic button pretty much, and the other one is going to be the passive ability, which is the worst passive in the entire game. Know why they removed the old passive ability prior to the Adventures update, but they did it, and they just replaced it with just a terrible passive ability. So the passive ability, you can just read it right here. It really does what it says right here. Like, when you hit an enemy with basic attack, the enemy will be doing 5% less damage to you and all players. If you hit an enemy again with basic attack, you will just refresh the debuff, and that's it. That's literally what it it does. It's so bad. The passive ability is so bad. Anyways, now let's start talking about Iron's Will, which is just going to be the ultimate ability. Iron's Will is just going to be the ultimate panic button. The reason I just lowered my HP that low is going to be Iron's Will. What it does is when you press the ability, you're going to activate this shield that will heal you 100% of your HP. It will create a shield that will protect you for 50% of the damage taken, so you will be taking 50% less damage, and it will last for 10 seconds. It has a 40-second cooldown, and it also, upon activation, you will activate a shield to 7 nearby players that will protect them for 10% of the damage taken, so the other allies will take 10% less damage. I don't know if this still does work, so when enemies attack the other players, you will take damage as well as the knight, because I haven't gotten that in a while, even after activating this ability on Uber 10. Like, after I believe it was the Into the Deep update, I wasn't able to just test out this ability because I wasn't able to take any sort of damage on Uber 10 whenever I activate this ability on other players. But prior to the Into the Deep update, you used to take 10% of the damage that the other players take. You used to take that as well. Like the 10% that the damage that the other player resists, you used to take that yourself as damage. So I used to use that on Shadow Towers, and other players used to take all of the damage, and I was just dying immediately because I used to take all of the damage from all of the other players, and it was kind of hilarious. But either way, after the Into the Deep update, I wasn't able to test that one out because I wasn't able to take any damage when I activate that ability. I don't know, let me know in the comment section down below if you, whenever you activate Iron's Will, you take damage whenever another player do take damage when they have the chill active. But according to my texting, after the Into the Deep update, I wasn't able to take any damage whatsoever. Either way, this is pretty much at the end of the day a panic type ability. This is an ability that you are going to use it whenever you hit 1 HP, or whenever you know you're going to fight against difficult bosses, or whenever you know that you are going to fight against a cursed skull and you know that you don't have a lot of HP. You can just activate Iron's Will to take 50% less damage, which is rather nice. It is a really solid ability. It is not the best, it's far from the best for being an ultimate ability, but it can do something. It can just help you out in those dire situations, and it can serve you as a panic button, and it does help out in survivability quite a bit because it heals you 100% of your HP and does give you an incoming damage reduction by 50%. Either way, that is going to be pretty much the Iron's Will. Not the best ability, but it is a pretty decent ability. And yeah, that is pretty much every single ability on the knight. Pretty much all of the things that I will be mentioning on the knight is just going to be both Spirit Squire and basic attack. That's where the character truly shines, and that is going to be pretty much my opinion on the character. My opinion on the character is just going to be among the top 5 best overall characters in the entire game, and the reason being is because Spirit Squire and basic attack are so good. You can just use both abilities and you will just do well pretty much as an early, mid, late, and end game type knight, but even more so as a mid and late game type character, which those are going to be the one that will dish out the most damage possible and will be able to one shot and just use its momentum to its fullest potential. So mid game, late game, that's where the knight truly shines, and pretty much that's where the knight is going to be at its best. Obviously, it's not going to be the best character in the entire game for over 10 character because it doesn't have any movement buff, and like I mentioned, the worst dodge in the entire game. And yeah, that is all for today. Thank you for watching. Thank you for sticking around as always. Leave a like if you want to help the channel grow, subscribe if you want to see more content like this, and that is all for today. Once again, thank you for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Take care and keep on hunting, and let me know which is the character that you would like to see in the next episode in my Discord server. See ya.